minutes. Shit.
Hey.
Oh, shit.
Welcome. Hey, Daph. All right, what's going on, everybody? Hey, Scott. Oh man, they're coming in today. So I either you guys got a lot of time on your hands, or you looking for some interesting conversation today, based on our topic, while you're doing your Christmas shopping and or getting everything ready for your holiday. But we are definitely here. We'll definitely be here today, and we're here on Thursday, and we're here next week to finish out and round out the holiday and the end of the year, going into the new year.
Because we don't celebrate Christmas, but we do accept gifts.
Which is kind of what we're going to segue into what we're wearing today. But
Correct.
welcome. Hello, everybody. Thank you for joining in. This is episode 31. God damn.
It's quick.
I am your host, Choice Skinner. Sitting next to me is the man with the plan, the man with everything that's grand. My co-host.
The nigga who can barely open up this water with this lotion on my hands.
But they smell good and they look good. That's all that matters.
Antonio Dean.
Yes, sir. That's the man.
Mason jar kicking my ass right now.
He's got that good holy water, man. They go get that well water. It's really good. So welcome everybody to the show. As you can see, our topics tonight. Hey, what's going on? What's going on, Scott? Daph, love you, babe. Hope you're doing well. It's cold as hell where we are at. Don't know where you're at, but hopefully you're nice and cozy and warm. My co-host, my partner, left his tea, so he's going to be teed out today. But
Teed off.
He's teed off, which balances it out, right?
A little bit.
Okay.
It'll be cool. I'm gonna just be more straight to the point than usual.
Yeah. You know, my favorite word.
I gotta protect my voice, so you know.
Still working on the other songs, right?
Yep.
Okay, so yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
I found a decent engineer. Was referred another really good engineer in the network. So 3 options right now. Just I just wanted to be right, so taking my time.
It's tough, man. People don't realize, all you creatives out there who are doing great things. It's been a dark year, to say the least.
Yes, it has.
We pride ourselves here at the show to talk about things that will educate and expound on the community to a point where people are being informed and they learn stuff.
And all of that
yes,
shit.
absolutely. So we definitely want you guys to be a part of today's show. State your opinion. Talk about whatever it is we're talking about. We love interaction, whether it's you're totally on the left side or the right side. We know that you'll be on the side that's needed to be for you. But that's what Change Your Mind, Change Your Thinking is all about. Having a new perspective about things, maybe something different that you thought when you first entered into the conversation. We're going to give a shout out to our sponsors. We have a sponsor
Right now.
Yeah.
Oh.
Let's go ahead and knock
pull
it
up
out. At there.
Well, shit, I was sitting here getting ready to gear up, putting everything in the comments and all of that.
Well,
but
you can do that. I mean, I can.
I got it.
Yeah, you got
Let's
it.
read it. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
So, family friend. Not really a family friend. He's actually family. He's my cousin, my older cousin, cousin Lee. I don't know if he wants his actual name out there, so I'm gonna just say Lee. But they got a beautiful businessman that was a follow up on the relative that I lost earlier this year, man. After he passed away, and they came together and they wanted to create something for young black men to be inspired by, to be empowered by, and that is called The 4 Generations of Kings. I know that they have a YouTube channel. Their YouTube channel is Pacific Sunrise, PACIFIK Sunrise, wherein I believe they do their podcast once a month. They got a beautiful venue. Just give them time, go ahead and check out their YouTube page. But in any event, here's their mission statement. They sent us these beautiful shirts for, to make sure I'm getting the order right. 4GK, 4 Generations of Kings. It's his father, himself, his son, and his grandson.
That's awesome.
So they're gonna have four different perspectives of young black men from, between seems like between 5 or 6 different eras, between 4 generations.
Wow.
So just getting to see what the black man's experience is like in today's world, and how it was before, and how they all kind of meet in the middle, and how they can help one another. Understand from the bottom to the top, and from the top to the bottom. So in any event, here's their mission statement. They say, our mission is to build people, help and nurture talent, and restore family and community pride. We strive to strengthen ourselves, our family, and our communities by demonstrating leadership, passion, and truth. We hold firm to integrity, core values, and diversity. Our team, merchandising and entertainment departments, will focus on serving and empowering the community. The black community, that is.
Yeah, well, as it should be. As it should be.
And I'll put all of their social information and everything in the comments. And you guys go ahead, go buy some merch. They're already up on their website and everything. And reach out to those people, man, or reach out to those brothers. They got something beautiful that they're fabricating right now.
And the name once again?
4 Generations of Kings.
Wow. I love it. I love
beautiful.
Yeah, I mean, you can see the crown right here. You can just see and it's well made. I like wearing stuff that not only has a good message behind it, but is designed well. I mean, I get people all the time wanting me to wear their stuff. Part of the responsibility is believing in what you wear, and wearing it with pride.
Yeah.
I mean, I think we as people tend to want to make sure we got something we can match with it.
It ain't always about that, man.
It's not. It's not. I mean, when I'm usually financially sound, I do very well at supporting people and helping people's projects, and donating when I can, and giving. But I have to believe in it, and it has to, be something that is worth contributing to, and spreading the word on. I'm proud of anybody that has their own content and product and stuff that they are pushing out to the world. But it's just so much more easier to support and be involved in something that I believe in. That's just the way it works for me. So he's putting all this information in. I'll be putting it in on my end as well.
I'll send it to you.
Okay, thank you. And if you want to, hey, brother, love you, man. What's up, Nate? Ashford, yeah, what's going on, Danny? Milkwich, what's going on? Hey, man, you need to cast me in something, brother. I got the acting bug really bad. I'm going into 2023. I'll definitely be acting more. I'm almost done with the deliverables for A New Life. It has been a journey. It has been a struggle, a challenge, everything that you can think of. But I'm getting this stuff into these people, and I'm not going to talk too much about the adversities that I had to come up against. But it's
pin this comment.
Yes, sir. Yeah. No, please. It's definitely something that will make people realize that it's a lot of work, man. When it comes to when it comes to creating content, just like you heard me say at the top of the show, talking with Antonio about his project. Finding people who even if they're, sometimes people are paid top dollar and they still won't come through, and that wasn't my situation. I mean,
that's not the question.
Yeah, that wasn't my situation. Yeah, my situation is just having people who start with it. Having people who start with it, finish off with it. And it's tough sometimes because, for whatever reason, people have their views and their ideals and their idioms, and so it can make things hard when it comes to this. So anybody out there, you're working on content, you're working on a project, much power to you. Do not be discouraged. Yeah, absolutely. We are here to cheer you on because we know what the process is on our end. Avoid working with assholes and jackasses. That's something that I can speak to and fro. from many years, unfortunately, of dealing with the wrong people. People who sometimes are not going to speak violence because that's how you feel and that's how we get flagged. So, there's people who some medieval things should be done to them because of their attitudes and who they are.
I'm being.
Somebody said something about F word.
Yeah, I don't. Oh,
I didn't say it.
Did you say feminism?
Oh, feminism.
Did we say feminism already?
Feminism is no. We didn't even mention it.
Did we say faggot?
No, we didn't say that.
You know what I'm saying?
Didn't say that at all.
Which F word? My bad. I didn't mean to cut in like that.
Yeah. All right, so you guys are here tonight. We are talking about racism, feminism. Now we're saying feminism. How the recipe of racism and feminism creates revisionism. And revisionism, we're talking specifically historical revisionism, and how it's in the media mostly. You're starting to see a serious movement of revisionism, of what racism, it's being erased. The aspect of what racism has done to the black community, and you're starting to see in a lot of films and television shows and movies and stuff, and a lot of content, even in schools with the textbooks.
Correct.
The whole effect of what racism has done to the black community, it's being removed. So there's a serious agenda and a serious movement that's happening in regards to those two things being used to work together for the revisionist history. I think a lot of the problem that we have too is a lot of those people who endured those types of things are leaving us.
Correct.
Like I just lost my grandmother a couple of weeks back. A lot of people are losing family members who either experienced, sharecropper or came out of slavery, and they experienced it so they could speak firsthand on it, or they were told by their ancestors and they had the story, and they're leaving us as well. So it is a serious problem. It is something that must be dealt with, must be spoken about. We have to continuously be diligent in making sure that people understand that racism is very real. Feminism is a very strong, toxic thing that is going on.
Correct.
And that those two things are being used together to create a new form of revisionist history. So, as we always do, right, we go over our definitions so that way you guys are clear to understand what exactly we're talking about.
He said it was feminism.
Yeah, we're speaking about that.
That's the whole point of tonight's show.
Yeah, man, we're getting in on that. He said, strap in.
And I want to be clear about something. Eric was convinced to use feminism to his advantage. He named his IT company Flowers, because his last name is Flores. He named it Flowers IT or some shit like that. So I told him that shit comes up in Google Maps or whatever, or on Google. Bitches is definitely gonna be like, you know what? I fuck with Flowers IT, and it worked.
I bet.
But anyway, so let's see. Alrighty. See that it's not fucking with us right now. Let me. Which one is it?
Well, we have a couple.
Oh, there it is.
But we can do revisionism first. Historical revisionism.
Okay. Historical revisionism. Let's go with Wikipedia. Wikipedia usually is actually pretty on point.
They want money though. You see that?
No, listen, I ain't got that. But I appreciate your service, Wikipedia.
Hey, Claudia.
In historiography, historical revisionism is the reinterpretation of a historical event. It usually involves challenging the orthodox, established, accepted, or traditional views held by professional scholars about a historical event or time span or phenomenon, introducing contrary evidence or reinterpreting the motivations and decisions of the people involved. I feel like I should read that twice.
Yeah, because it's very. I mean, but go ahead, brother. I'm sorry.
So let's see. I'm gonna read that one more time, just because I think that was powerful.
It's very powerful.
In historiography, historical revisionism is the interpretation of a historical account. It usually involves challenging the orthodox views held by professional scholars about a historical event or time span or phenomenon, introducing contrary evidence or reinterpreting the motivations and decisions of the people involved. The revision of the historical record can reflect new discoveries of fact, evidence, and interpretation, which then results in revised history. In dramatic cases, revisionism involves a reversal of older moral judgments. Now, the issue with that, they did not, they didn't necessarily address the political use of revisionist history. Or historical revisionism. It's an apparatus, and I don't know if this thing is going to go through it or not, because we're not going to read that far down, because I think that was a pretty good definition. But it's a political apparatus. It's a war tactic used to wash people's history away, and that has been going on with black people in America pretty much since before we even historically got here, right? You know, our the Native Americans, so to speak, the Aboriginals. Their history is just about
wiped away,
all completely gone, unless you live on one of the reservations. And I don't even mean one of the 5 recognized tribes, or there's a specific terminology for that, but the 5 who all basically turncoats
and worked the deal
and worked to get rid of all the other tribes to ensure their own survival. You know, it's unfortunate, but that was the truth of it.
It's a human trait.
It's a human trait. Survive. You know, you're supposed to do everything that you can to survive, but we're talking about hundreds of thousands of languages, cultures, histories, absolutely erased from the North American continent. You know, based on that. So, and the reason, you know, I'm probably sounding like I'm speaking gibberish to a lot of people right now, but that's the reality of revisionist history. Most of you guys probably don't even know that there was a rich history here in North America.
Of course, they just all they know is Columbus is the start. They don't know anything else.
Well, they don't even know anything between Columbus and 1776. Or whenever the fucking, you know, Boston Tea Party point in time. Anything between 1492 and Boston Tea Party, most people don't even know.
With the one black guy, Crispus Attucks. One black guy.
Crispus Attucks.
The one black guy.
You know, so it's a lot of rich history that you're missing out on, and we probably won't get a chance to talk about it tonight, but I challenge, especially if you're a black person, or someone who identifies with ethnic
melanin.
You know what I'm saying? If you got melanin in your skin, I highly suggest that you go, and I'll type it up and put it in the comments actually. But Cahokia, go and do some research on what Cahokia is, and then more importantly, prior to Cahokia, go and look up Mississippian culture. The Mississippian culture is powerful.
And we plan on doing a big show on it and having a guest in 2023. It's such a topic, and it takes time to make sure you have all your facts and your ducks in a row. By the way, we will be giving a safe away too.
Yes, we will.
We will be raffling off a safe. Shout out to Wayne Barnway. Yes, and we just want to mention that because we will start in January when we'll be starting to raffle that off. It is an amazing safe, and it's worth the opportunity if you get a chance to get a ticket.
It's almost worth $1 million, goddammit.
You're going to sell water to water, this guy, man.
Yeah.
So, listen, yes, and it is. So, what I want to start out with is understanding what racism is, because we talked about revisionist history, okay? Revisionist history. And you guys have got to understand that it's happening right in front of your face. And if you don't do something about it, your children and you yourself will start having a different perspective
of actual reality here, and reality and history, everything all together.
Okay, so he's breaking down the root word. He's going in tonight, boy. Yeah. Okay, so here we go.
So ism, ISM, because I think it's important that we understand, okay? Ism, a distinctive practice, system, or philosophy, typically a political ideology or an artistic movement. All right? And ism is a suffix in many English words originally derived from the ancient Greek suffix and blah, 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 whatever. Latin, none of us speak Latin. Nobody speaks Latin anymore. Anyway, ism. I'm going to read that one more time and then we'll move on to the next word. A distinctive practice, system, or philosophy, typically a political ideology or an artistic movement. Okay? Now, let's look up race. I'm going to actually open a new tab for that. Race. Da-da-da, not the competition. Not that. Da-da-da-da, nope, nope, nope. Where's the bad the bad definition of race? Da-da-da-da. So they ain't gonna say it, huh? Righty. Major groupings in which, okay. Each of the major groupings into which humankind is considered in various theories or contexts, keep that in mind, that's very important that they said that, various theories or contexts, to be divided on the basis of physical characteristics or shared ancestry.
And then they had to break it up. 5 different,
Just saying, I'm gonna keep that
very
up.
convoluted. It's very convoluted.
And I'll read the next one. A group of people sharing the same culture, history, language, etc. An ethnic group. A group or set of people or things with a common feature or features. So it doesn't even have to be blood or ancestral. That's interesting. So there are many different definitions of race, but we'll move on to what racism is. The belief that different races possess distinct characteristics, abilities, or qualities, especially so as to distinguish them as inferior or superior to one another. Interesting. Is that the only definition? Well, come on, Wikipedia. Break it down for us. Racism is the belief that groups of humans possess different behavioral traits corresponding to inherited attributes and can be divided based on the superiority of one race over another. Let's read that again. Racism is the belief that groups of humans possess different behavioral traits corresponding to inherited attributes and can be divided based on the superiority of one race over another. It may also mean prejudice, discrimination, or antagonism directed against other people because they are of a different race or ethnicity. Modern variants of racism are often based in social perceptions of biological differences between peoples. These views can take form of social actions, practices, or beliefs, or political systems in which different races are ranked as inherently superior or inferior to each other based on presumed shared inheritable traits, abilities, or qualities. There have been attempts to legitimize racist beliefs through scientific means such as scientific racism. I didn't know that was a thing.
Neither did I.
Which have been overwhelmingly shown to be unfounded. Yeah. We'll read this last one. In terms of political systems, for example, apartheid, that support the expression of prejudice or aversion in discriminatory practices or laws, racist ideology may include associated social aspects such as nativism, xenophobia, otherness, segregation, hierarchical ranking, and supremacism.
It's loaded.
Very loaded.
It's loaded.
Very loaded, very powerful.
So I think we talked about this one time before on our show. We kind of like pinky watered racism and talked a little bit about it and the definitions and stuff like that. Still,
we were speaking more so to living conditions based on redlining and a bunch of that was one of the much earlier shows. But go ahead.
Yeah, this scientific racism, this is something new. I never heard of that.
We'll have to read up on that in personal time or whatever. But feminism.
Yeah, we have to get feminism to get to.
Do we want to break this word down, or are we gonna go straight with it?
I mean, I think we probably should because people use the word feminist right?
Feminine. So then we need to look at.
Well, that's been in the news lately that people don't, even want to use that word, feminine.
Which is insane.
It's crazy.
Whatever.
They don't want to be called what was it, female.
Correct.
It's like, what?
Because it's what is it? It's disrespectful because a female can refer to an animal apparently. Is that a word? Nope. It's urban. It's not a real word. I was just curious. Any event, feminine. Having qualities or an appearance traditionally associated with women or girls.
They threw in traditional now. Traditionally.
Of or denoting a gender of nouns and adjectives conventionally regarded as female. The female sex or gender. What else they got? Because that's interesting. Let's look at the Merriam-Webster Dictionary, because it's going to get interesting. Considered to be characteristic of women, marked by or having qualities, features, etc., traditionally associated with women, traditionally. Of, relating to, or being a woman or girl. Of, relating to, or intended for women or girls. Of, relating to, or constituting the gender that ordinarily includes most words or grammatical forms referring to females, as well as other words and forms either systematically or arbitrarily in the same category. Yeah, I would say that's good enough. It's for girls, okay? The embodiment or conception of an idealized feminine nature. The set of qualities, features, etc., traditionally associated with women. I think we get the point. So that's feminine. Wikipedia, really quick. Do they got one for us? They got Wiktionary. There we go. Femininity is a set of attributes, behaviors, and roles generally associated with women and girls. Femininity can be understood as socially constructed, and there is also some evidence that some behaviors considered feminine are influenced by both cultural factors and biological factors. To what extent femininity is biologically or socially influenced is subject to debate. It is conceptually distinct from both the female biological sex and from womanhood, as all humans can exhibit feminine and masculine traits, regardless of sex and gender. Traits traditionally cited as feminine include gracefulness, gentleness, empathy, humility, and sensitivity, though traits associated with femininity vary across societies and individuals and are influenced by a variety of social and cultural factors. Interesting.
Okay.
And they got these ugly-ass white women on here, but whatever.
That's funny.
So feminism. The advocacy of women's rights on the basis of the equality of the sexes. The inclusion...
Can you say that one more time?
The advocacy of women's rights on the basis of the equality of the sexes.
Okay. Key word is equality.
Yes, it is. Feminism is a range of socio-political movements and ideologies that aim to define and establish the political, economic, personal, and social equality of the sexes. There's so many different genders and sexes here today. I can't wait to ask that question. Maybe not on this show, but eventually. Feminism incorporates the position that society prioritizes the male point of view and that women are treated unjustly in these societies. Efforts to change this include fighting against gender stereotypes and improving educational, professional, and interpersonal opportunities and outcomes for women. Feminist movements have campaigned and continue to campaign for women's rights, including the right to vote, run for public office, work, earn equal pay, own property, receive education, enter contracts, have equal rights within marriage and maternity leave. Feminists have also worked to ensure access to contraception, legal abortions, and social integration, and to protect women and girls from rape, sexual harassment, and domestic violence. Changes in female dress standards and acceptable physical activities for females have often been part of feminist movements.
Okay, which it's so odd when you read all those things that they say they're campaigning for, they're all current. All of those things are reality.
They're relevant.
They're all relevant.
They're very relevant and have been for the last 2 or 3, maybe 200 years.
Well, let's see.
Or 150.
Yeah, and they had a major movement in the 60s,
Yeah.
which is when things
Which
really
was
changed.
they actually hijacked the civil rights movement.
Pretty much. But that's what all groups that have.
Yeah, that was a women's suffrage thing.
Yeah, yeah.
And Susan B. Anthony's what, the
Susan
20s
B.
or something?
Anthony, yes, Susan B.
Was
Anthony.
that the 20s? Or?
That was in the 20s, yes, absolutely. 19, 18, around that time. So when you look at a lot, it's something that Antonio said that I want to touch on. Hijacking the civil rights movement. Still to this day it happens. Anything
Correct.
dealing with black people, you'll see other groups
And
with their
not just
vested
feminism.
interests. No, not just feminism. Other groups will come in and hijack. It happened with the Black Lives Matter movement. They come in and hijack the any type of movement that black people have in regards to finding equal rights and to be treated a certain way. People from other vested groups will come in and hijack and incorporate themselves
Correct.
in those missions. And so that's been a problem.
They hijack the attention,
Absolutely.
the movement, the traction that is.
Absolutely.
The motion that the black plight has the ability, or those who are experiencing the black plight typically have had the ability to conjure.
Nate said it's important that they pass those stories on so that we can keep it moving forward. Yeah, you're right, and I know you're a father, so you're teaching your children that in regards to black people and what we've experienced. Listen, everyone has experienced some form of racism. Okay, like especially we're talking to the black community at this moment. Predominantly, of course. When it happens to other groups of people, a lot of times it's not really racism as much as it's about
prejudice and discrimination.
And
but should we read those or
no? Because we'll get way offline.
But yeah,
I want to. When you see another country coming in and eradicating another country, it's beyond racism.
And notice you said the entire country.
Yeah, that's beyond racism. You know what I mean? Okay,
it's war.
It is war, and it is what's the word when you destroy a whole
pillaging?
Pillaging. No, that's another word when you just eradicate a whole group of people. What do you call it?
Genocide.
Genocide. Thank you. Which is still happening today.
Yes, it is. In many different forms.
Right.
War. Not all war is physical.
Right. And not all war is right then and there. It's over a period of time.
Mm-hmm.
The war of racism for black people has been since the beginning. Mm-hmm. And this is even before anyone came here to this country or before we left other countries, because the whole Renaissance thing was from black people.
Hijacking.
It was
It was an absolute hijacking.
Mm-hmm.
And we're talking about nearly around 12, but between 11 and 1300
mm-hmm.
is when the world really started for lack of a better term, started hating
on melanin,
hating on melanin in Africa, and coming in and seeing what niggas was doing. How are you guys doing this? And we're having wireless energy, electricity. We have an actual power grid through the pyramids and all of these different things at that time, and the rest of the world really just wanted to know.
Mm-hmm. Nate said that's how they take power away from it, control the story and the direction. You're right. It's exactly what we're saying.
Revisionist history.
Revisionist history. And so that's what we're talking about tonight. And why is it important to talk about it now, going into 2023? Why is it a topic? Antonio hit me up about a project that was on Hulu that he was watching. And it was a text. And I had no desire to watch this film. I knew about it coming out because I'm very familiar with the book. And I knew about the story. And I said to myself, knowing Hollywood, they're not even going to come close to
the original.
Yes, to the original.
Or telling it as it should be.
Right. Even if you because listen, in a lot of the marketing advertisements that you see in a lot of these projects, they say based on historical accounts, based on this. Now, listen, I think Will Smith jacked up himself by doing what he did on the Oscar. Yeah, with that. Well, Emancipation.
I heard it was actually good. But I don't want to watch this.
Yeah, and then I'm going to tell you what's going to upset you about it because, see, listen, when you make, okay, let me explain something.
It's going to be Thursday. We'll talk about emancipation and shit.
But we'll have it on the list because when you make these movies that are truly, and I know Antoine Fuqua, I respect him as a director, as a man, I know him personally, and just the conversations that he and I have had about content and history and film and stuff like that. He went in on that. Man, let me tell you, I watched that movie and I didn't watch it. So in essence, I watched it and I had to get it out of my mind because he went very real and raw with it. It is real and it's raw. And let me explain something to you about these films, these slavery films. When you watch them, true, Nate, historical accounts by who? True. When you watch these films and you watch these miniseries and these TV series, if it's done right, you're going to be very angry.
You will be very upset. When Roots came out, the stories that my mom and dad tell about that time in the 70s, especially in Oakland, and it might have been a mostly Northern California thing because of the Black Panthers and everything, but I know specifically for them, when that was happening, they going to school and running white kids up out of the school. They had to shut the schools down because the black kids were upset about that shit, as they should be. You know, they had never seen, it had never been visualized.
Just spoke about, but
that which racism, not racism, but that which slavery and sharecropping was. You know, up until that point, it had never been fully realized for black people.
Yeah, I mean. Just like you mentioned, even with Native Americans, their full story hasn't truly been told. You know,
it's never been told. The rest of the world knows North America's actual story, but we don't because we're here. We're one of the only countries in the world that doesn't know what Cahokia is. Has never heard of it. Majority of the people listening, I'm sure, have never even heard that word, and that's really unfortunate. Because again, how rich the history is that is here. You know, I could go on for hours about that, but that's not what today's show is about. So go on.
So the infiltration of media has been since the beginning.
Propaganda,
and how you keep someone. It's one thing to enslave someone. It's another thing to keep them enslaved. That's the true power that people don't realize is in effect. Keeping someone enslaved. You can keep someone enslaved physically for so long, people will rebel. If you enslave their minds, they will never realize that there's a reason to rebel. And so, was there paperwork that shows that black people in America were set free? Yeah, there's paperwork, proclamation, emancipation, absolutely. But were we ever really set free? No.
Not mentally.
Not mentally.
Not systematically.
No, not at all. And so when you watch something like Emancipation...
Or systemically.
Emancipation, you know, I have my views about that film, but there was like 15 different stories in one character, which... sometimes it's too much because then you make this person a superhero. And then, you know, when you look at a lot of projects that could come out, like you have projects that could come out, right? That really show black men and black women as almost superhero-like. Like we really were amazing. They don't show that. They just show these other ones.
Well, they put white faces on it.
Absolutely. So.
Or Greek faces on Egyptian history, you know.
Yeah. Okay. Recently, there's a film that came out. It's not a film; it's a miniseries on Hulu called Kindred, and it was based on a book by Octavia Butler, who was a very well-known sci-fi writer, black woman, who was a sci-fi writer, and Octavia Butler wrote this book back in the 70s, and it was called Kindred. And it was a very powerful book because basically the storyline, which is, I'm not giving away anything about the film or the show or anything, but basically the book is about a woman who has these continual spells where she see the difference in the hair, because not right, you see, so to where these spells make her go back in time to her ancestors when her ancestors were slaves, and she has to save the life of the white man that's in her family lineage in order to ensure that she is actually ever born in her family and everybody, all her ancestors. Who is, the guy that he's a slave master. Obviously, he inherits the land, and he inherits the plantation. So he becomes the slave master. His name is Rufus.
Inherits is definitely one way to word that.
Yeah. So anyway, she's called back in time every time this guy has a tragic event. Something's about to happen to him, falling out of a tree, drowning. It starts off with him drowning, and she's whisked back into time and has to save this kid. He at that age, he's a kid, and she saves his life, and she's connected with him, and she goes back and forth from slavery to the 70s because it was written for it to be in the 70s. Well, Hulu FX has taken this film, Hey Lay, and updated it and put a current day spin on it, and shat all over the book. I mean, just it's shite. It is tripe. It is garbage. It's trash. That's the word that I use a lot because I hate getting I hate getting strikes against me and stuff. So I've learned, like, to be in Facebook jail or Instagram giving you community strikes, just start using certain words where you can have a strong sense of voice, but don't get caught up in all the crap of community strikes and all that stuff. But anyway,
euphemize if you can.
Thank you. Absolutely. It's tripe. It's trash. And we talked about it, and that's kind of why we wanted to have today's show, is because that show is a prime example of revisionist history. By using feminism, they use feminism and racism
and the black woman, their biggest tool,
to push revisionist history. Because what happens is when you're watching this, you're saying, okay, this is supposed to be during, and it's an antebellum, which was some of the worst forms of slavery. Antebellum.
Which I don't think they addressed that in the show.
I mean, listen, because I know of the book, because I know what goes on in that book, because you can go and you can look at something like Emancipation, which is like,
is it rough? All right. Not that we need to keep seeing each other in these positions,
which is the problem.
The truth is better.
Yeah, and that's what. Listen, you wouldn't like Kindred, and I'm reading people's comments, and they're like, "Oh, it's such a good show."
That shit was not good. I was on Reddit. Look, I'm a Reddit fiend. I go on there to see real people opinions, man, and holy shit, holy fucking shit! I cannot believe anybody actually enjoyed that show. But then again, I can, because we got young 20, 21, 22, 23, and 24-year-olds who do not know our actual history.
Okay. Thus is the issue. Thus is the reason why we are having today's show. Because if we can dissect it and give some clarity, maybe we can ignite some of you guys to engage in conversation, minds that have been primed. Minds that have been primed. Yes, absolutely.
Primed with the what the fuck is it? We're all the same.
Work together.
One love, all of that bullshit. Yeah. Racism is over. We worked past that and all of that kind of bullshit.
So let's talk about that, because I think that's important. What do you think was the movement that kind of moved into that? I'll tell you my opinion, which is what I know factually from being being on the
Are you
ground.
saying in recent history or within the last 50 to 60 years?
Recent history.
Recent history?
Yeah.
The gay rights movement.
Okay, for me, it was hip hop. Hip hop gave a lot of space for these rappers to go out and say, "Yo, you know, I'm not racist and this
You
and
know
that
what?
and that because you know, when I'm performing, I don't see nothing but white and black kids and blah 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 blah."
I think that was planned. That was
Of course,
tactical.
it was planned.
Yeah, that was
Of
tactical.
course, it was. You know, Kanye told
Once they monetized
Yeah.
rap music fully.
It was. I think it was something that came up that they were just like, "Yo, we can use this.
Mm-hmm.
We've been working on figuring out how to get into the mind of the blacks. We can use this. They're doing it to themselves already. Let's just pour that money." You know, Kanye told everybody
another form
who's
of
in
crack.
control. Who he showed everybody a chart just recently.
Really?
Yeah,
I gotta see that.
man.
I gotta see
He showed everybody in chart. He said, "Now who's really pushing this? Who's really in control?" You know, I promised my manager I wouldn't mention certain words, so you know.
Fair enough.
Mm-hmm.
I know which one. Juice. We talking about juice, all right? The goddamn juice.
But Kanye has showed everybody who was in control, and basically, when you're looking at the whole systematic understanding of how to get the mind primed, like my godbrother said, which is so true, I believe just by being on ground zero and seeing it and understanding it that you know the hip hop movement had a lot to do with it, and I think a lot of the brothers that were a part of it were just being used. They didn't realize they were being used. I mean, somebody's giving you money, you're living
Fresh
your
out
dream.
of what you fresh out of.
Of course,
Yeah.
the ghetto, the hood, poverty, man. I don't wish that on anybody.
And perhaps genuinely thinking that they're doing some good.
Absolutely.
By looking to cancel it out, but not knowing that wasn't the actual plan.
At all.
Again, they'll scare us over here
Mm-hmm.
on purpose to have us run the other way,
Yeah, I like
and
when you
that's where
said
the
that last
actual
week.
trap is
Yeah,
at.
absolutely. Which
You
is
know.
which is what happened. Because were you really making look, interracial marriage, conversations about race, conversations about racism, you know, just because we can all party together, are we really dealing with the issue? I don't think people were
Nope,
really ever
we're
really
forgetting
dealing
the
with
issue.
it. You're forgetting the issue.
Which is a form of sweeping it under the rug, making it taboo.
So, with that being said, okay, let's go back to kind of what you had said, because you had brought up, you know, a point, and I think you were right in your point. It's just that point was before my point in regards to racism. I think you were right on it, talking about the gay movement. That was part of it. It diverted a lot of attention away from the rights that we were fighting for. It became the topic. It became the buzzword. It became the point of contention when it comes to news, because God knows that you was hearing about all this stuff consistently and never hearing, you know, black people get pushed to the back. You know, we moved from the back of the bus to the front, but we ended up moving back to it. You know, that when I was younger,
Metaphorically, yeah.
yeah, when I was younger, I used to hate seeing black people go to the back of the bus. I used to hate it. Because I would see brothers get up and they would go all the way to the back of the bus, and I was like, yo, we fought to be able to be at the front of the bus.
Well, we fought to be able to sit anywhere.
Absolutely agreed. But the prime was the front of the bus. And so why are you walking all the way to the back? It was just a question I had, but it used to bother me. Because it was the thing of like saying that you don't realize that. I think the disconnect is ancestors. It's us not knowing their stories. And the problem is now becoming that we're seeing a lot of this content. We're going to talk about, do you think the slave tale or just any, yeah,
What's the
or
question?
any black people disparaging story, Fruitville Station, Empire of Light, Emancipation, 12 Years a Slave is just a message to us. This is all you'll ever be to America, a slave, someone to be killed.
That's what I was saying earlier about things like where that's all they ever show us. It's constantly shit where we're being slaughtered, being disrespected, being treated like fucking garbage. That's all they ever show of us.
And so it's wired into you. It's constantly programmed into you. Hey, Michael Irvin, listen, man. Let me tell you that slave play. I was offended by not only the playwright but the people who put the play on, by the actors who were in the play, and there was a lot of actors in there that I actually respected their work. And seeing them be a part of that trash slave play, I just couldn't believe it. And it's funny because you always see people with tremendous power pushing this kind of stuff. People who have a voice telling people to go and see this stuff.
I think they're getting paid.
Slave play, let me tell you, slave play was this play that was on Broadway about the sexual escapades of slaves with their slave master.
Escapades is a very, very light fucking term.
Yeah, but that's why that word was used. It was okay. Like
they made it whimsical.
Well, they did. It was a slave master and his slave wench, a slave master and his slave boy, and then a couple who had been together for a long time. The difference between the slave master and the older slave. Disgusting, man. Disgusting. I couldn't believe it. You know, there was something that I put out of my mind. Now, why is this all an issue? All right, man, we're losing time. Why is this all an issue? Because the thing is that a lot of people are out there supporting this stuff, and this stuff gets prominence. And once it gets prominence, then the truth is looked at as a fictional thing.
Boy, the truth more so even just gets swept under the rug.
Absolutely.
Why are you looking at it this way? You know, why are you addressing what the actual reality was when we have we've progressed from that? Things have changed since then.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. That's how it used to be. No, it's like how it is today because we still experienced it. I experienced some today myself.
Likewise.
You know, and he experienced some of it. Right. So I would like for anybody who is of color, who has experienced in the past week a form of racism, chime in.
Or even just this year in general, man.
Yeah, or this year. Okay, let's make it this year.
Yeah.
If you dealt
this
with
is present time.
Yeah, it's right. This is current day, right? So put a thumb in the comment box, or just a thumbs up, or a black fist or something, just to know that you've been through it this year, and you experienced it.
You acknowledge you have experienced and you acknowledge that racism is not
eradicated.
Something that's just disappeared. It's all but it's vanished at this point.
Michael Irvin Walker said, "I have yet to find a white person who's a hip hop head that's become best friends or female lover of mine. So hip hop bring us together as a facade." Well, yeah, it was. Yeah. I mean, I think it was a way for those guys to.
It was just a movement. It was a campaign.
It was just a movement. Yeah, we're bringing everybody together. I see a sea of people together. Yeah. It's like, them people went home, man. They went home to their thoughts and their process and their families and however their families were.
Continue living their lives the way that they've been living it.
Shit, I mean,
they got whatever they could out of it.
I went to a Fleetwood Mac concert, bro. I was probably one of maybe 50 black dots up in there, but I went home and still had my point of view. It didn't make me feel like, I'm so much
racism
more
is over. Jesus Christ.
Thank you, Fleetwood Mac.
Hug thy neighbor. You know what I'm saying?
No, it's very apparent and real today and present, and it must be dealt with and discussed. It must be discussed. And thank you for saying that, Michael. So getting paid and played. Yeah, you're right. It's a thing of you can't see it, but right now we have up on the screen a screenshot from Kindred, and they changed so much from the book. Initially in the book when she wakes up, the first clip of her that you see, she's missing an arm.
This punk ass amiable white boy.
Yeah, and
so the white savior trope.
It's very, very apparent in this film, in this series.
I want to touch on that a little bit.
Okay, where do you think that comes from, and what is all that about?
The purpose of it. We know where it comes from.
Okay,
it's the same as the Willie Lynchwood letters. Whether they do or do not exist is neither here nor there. The concepts the strategies are all apparent, regardless of when they were created and when they were instituted. Is a moot point because the shit fucking it exists systemically, it exists in present times. So I think that the white savior trope, and you can go back as far as roots and see this trope. You can go back before that in different TV shows and cartoons and see the white savior trope, where black people are going through something horrendous. And even when there's other white people present, and even if they're the cause of it, there's that one white person who is confused at why the other white people are doing this to the fucking black people. Why are you guys going through this? You shouldn't be going through this. As if they're not fucking a part of the other end of the reality. And they do everything that they can to help the black people. They're just as distraught. I forget the boy's name. But in every single episode of Roots, the original, each episode is about an hour and a half long. There's at least one white savior. Every single one of them, who's helping out, doing his best to make sure that these niggas don't get shit on. The issue there is today, and I believe it grew into this, but it's subconscious. They want you to believe, and not saying that there are not decent white people. Okay. We're not even talking about all white people, but we're talking about the fucking system that does not change because not enough people are acknowledging the actual state of it. The entire purpose is to subconsciously put in people's mind that these people, there's a few of them who are gonna save you. All you need is a white friend or
ally,
whatever. Yeah, you need a fucking ally. That they'll help you sort out your problems that should be handled in-house, that have nothing to do with anybody else. All of these things should be handled in-house. But black people are constantly looking for a savior because that's what the fuck has been put in our minds ever since then. You know? And there's another thing I could touch on, but that's a whole nother debate. We'll leave religion out of it. But every fucking apparatus ever, and the way that it was told to us, the way that it was pushed on us, was the need for a white savior. And that's what's going to turn the tide for us. Every fucking time. Every fucking time. That's what the white savior trope is for. 100% to poison our minds and trick us into believing that we can't do it all on our own. We're the only community in the world that's not doing it on our own.
Yeah, agreed. I mean, even when you just had these mandates and these things politically instituted just recently for Asian people, it was the Asian community that fought for those rights.
Yep.
It wasn't a white person.
They didn't wait for a white person to step up and none of that shit.
Yeah, we shouldn't be doing this. No. And so with that being said, when you watch this miniseries, if you've watched it, chime in if you haven't.
Yeah.
If you feel we're wrong in what we're saying, you feel we disagree.
Yeah, go ahead. I need an argument for that.
Let us know your thoughts on it. If you like the show and you felt like it's something that's going to really change things. We want to know your opinion. I don't think it's going to change anything. I think it's going to be like the Underground Railroad. And, well, it is. It's already making, listen, because it's watered down. And I had commented on somebody's post in YouTube. They had did a review, and I was like, they watered down the story. They watered down everything about it. And they were like, well, it was a lot better than seeing all that tragic stuff that we don't need to see. See, that's the issue. That becomes
makes
the
us
problem.
run from it.
Yeah, that becomes a problem because even in this, like, okay, first off, the story really was supposed to be about her, but now they make it him and her.
He's having such a hard time helping her and all of this. So they're giving us his plight all throughout the fucking show.
Yeah. Whereas in the book, she was married to the white guy. That was an issue
too.
But that was an issue in itself because at the time in the 70s, interracial marriage was, it's like we talked about the Jeffersons, how George would come in and he'd get in on them about that. But that's besides the point, and that's par for the course, because with the book, he disappears for 5 years, and it's really about her. So we don't even get to see him he comes back and says everything he went through. But excuse me, the whole thing is about her and what she goes through. She loses her arm. She gets beaten back continuously. I mean, even a graphic novel, they have a graphic novel that people go, I can't look at the graphic novel because it's worse than what the book does, because now we actually visualize
that's what I was saying about Roots.
Mm-hmm.
Plain and simple.
Yeah. Yeah, when they hobble
when
him.
you see the truth, hearing it is one thing, but when you see it, it can't be denied. The emotional effect, the weight that's put on you from fully realizing, damn, this is what the fuck was happening. It makes you sit back and reassess your allies, your life in general, and how it is that you're operating and the things that you believe in current day.
So it's definitely not something that I that I recommend to watch. I mean, if you watch it, just like with any form of entertainment, watch it with your own eyes and have your own opinion about it. But I can tell you right now, when you see it says historical, a lot of times you have to question that. When you watch these projects that come out, a lot of this content says historical, and it's not. It's revised history. She's in this series for up to almost 8 episodes before, she does get assaulted by this one guy, but it was just she gets punched in the eye or something like that. That's because she did something to him first, though. Right, and then he jumps on her. If I remember, she hits him, and then she hits him, and then he jumps on her and punches her in the eye.
Because he was trying to get her to come. He was making passes at her, trying to get her to come back. Oh, he was going to give her a ride in exchange for sex.
And she says no, and then the other slave comes, and then he. That's when she hits him. She scratches him. That's what it is. She scratches him, and then he punches her. He gets on her, he punches her, and then he starts to choke her, and then she comes back to present day.
She felt like she was gonna die.
Yeah, anytime she feels like she's gonna die is when she pops back. That's kind of like
that's what triggers the time travel.
Yeah. So when her slave master, great granddaddy, I think it is, a great granddaddy, he's about to die. She's transported and back into the past, and then if she feels like she's going to die, she comes back into the present.
Right.
So that's kind of like the thing that's happening. The problem that I had was, okay, it's 8 episodes deep. Throughout the first 7 episodes, she back talking, back lipping.
It's crazy. So I wanted to touch on that because people
black magic.
People probably were a little like, damn, like he wanted her to get her ass beat. No, it's not that we wanted to see any of this violence or any of these atrocities, against her, but the reality, when you got this young black woman in what we know to be antebellum, number one, the first thing I noticed is she's looking at all of these white men and white women in their fucking eyes,
staring at them
like crazy. You know what I'm saying? No sort of backlash, no sort of reality that we know, and this is where we get into why is that a problem? Is that there are young black children, there are black people in their 20s right now who don't know the history that will see that and think, yep, that's what I would have did. That's what I would have did. I would have told that white motherfucker XYZ and all of that, and they're not getting the actual mood, the actual reality, the actual consequences, the actual circumstances of the times. And when you don't understand that, you definitely don't understand how it's progressed and been so expertly hidden away in today's time.
Yeah, because a lot of those people who are in power who happen to be white are just like that. And so I listen, call it guilty pleasure, call it being informed. I watch a lot of police interaction videos, because you have some people that be like, it's not as bad as they're making it out to be. And when we talked about racism, there was that key word in there that talked about how perception is. A lot of police that monitor black communities are not from those communities. They drive in, and then they have to deal with people from the black community. So they already have their perceptions. They have their ways of seeing the culture. And a lot of their perceptions and the way they see culture is racist. It very much is racist. No different than a black person being dropped in the middle of America somewhere and grew up in Compton or grew up in Brooklyn and never stepped out the hood. They would have those perceptions from what they see on television. And so it's a very serious issue, because if you got a young black man or a young black woman who has no respect for their own family members or any form of authority in school or anything like that.
Their ancestors.
Yeah. What do you think is going to happen?
They don't even respect, they can't respect our plight and what it took for us to get here, because they don't even know.
Especially when they're working really hard to assert their rights. You ever hear them? I know my rights. And you don't have rights still.
Nope.
And so it's really odd to see that what we're talking about is something that needs to happen for all families. You have to inform your children, because
teach them to lead from the back.
Yeah, a lot of people who are adults are lost nowadays. They're lost. There's not much,
and they don't even know that they're lost.
Yeah, I mean, there's not much that you can do, but with the kids, which is kind of our main thing of helping to understand the kids to understand the way the world is. It's important that this is being spoken, so that way people can hear it. And you watch something like Kindred and it's like, oh, this is bullshit. Look, he and I are two different age groups, and we understand the truth of it.
Yeah. Well, the people that I come from, we talked about this before the show. It ain't no fucking way I could stand here today and not know my history, not know our history. My family was very serious, very serious about our history and understanding what rights we do have, how to properly exercise them, knowing when and how to choose your battles, because you never give a battle up. But maybe right now isn't the time for it, and knowing how to go back. I've never been defeated by the white man, ever, and I never will. Someday, if I have children, they'll be able to say the same fucking thing. They're not gonna go out in the world and be misinformed, uneducated about who we are and what we are. Never.
And I think that's where it starts. It starts at home. It's very important. You can't expect the public school system or even college to teach your children the correct history or the correct aspect of what it is to be a black person in America.
Never let the rest of the world tell you, your family members, your children, anything about who you are and what you are. You have to seek out the knowledge, the information, do the work. You can't expect results without actually doing the fucking work.
Yeah, and another thing about this film that was so annoying, I guess, was the aspect of, here it is, you have this slave, and so this is how we connect the feministic aspect to this project, to why feminism is such a problem in conjunction with racism, which is what's hurting us historically. Black girl magic, she can do anything and everything, you know what I mean? And she becomes this magical Negro, which is also another trope, because you have the white savior trope and you have now the magical Negro. She becomes the magical Negro.
The untouchable.
And she's untouchable too. Yeah. So she knows everything. She knows
telling this white man what to do in front of the other white people, and they're looking at him crazy, but they're letting them slide and all kind of shit. Sleeping up in that man's room, you know what I mean? He had a room in the house, and she had a room out in the cookhouse, which is bullshit too, because actually, that captain said they didn't let niggas sleep in the cookhouse. But they have all of these. They have separate sleeping quarters and living quarters, And every fucking night, she up there sneaking in that. And really, she wasn't sneaking.
Just walking ass.
Middle of the day, she up in there just kicking it, chilling in the room. The white people walk in, and she like, well, you looking for what's his name? What the fuck? What's his goofy name? Jake or some shit? I don't know. Whatever, Kevin or whatever the fuck his name was. They come in there looking for him, and her goofy ass is sitting in there, looking at them like, what the fuck are y'all doing in our room? Ain't that crazy? How fucking insane is that?
The conversations that the white masters would have with each other. You need to talk to your niggas. You know, your niggas. Where's your nigger from?
They would have never. They the same way our parents describe their upbringing, where the neighborhood, nigga, you can get your ass whooped all the way home for fucking up at school. All the way home. And get home and get another ass whooping. That's how slave masters were, on the spot. And it wasn't make sure you check your Negro. That nigga's a little, I don't know, that nigga's getting a little, a little
He's
snappy.
a little uppity.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Hell nah, man. She would have been dead on arrival.
Yeah.
Not saying that that's what we wanted to see, but if you're going to
say,
if you're going to insist
that this is historical,
that we have to watch. Or excuse me, if you're going to insist on putting out this kind of content concerning our history here in America, the least you can do is be honest about it. The least they could do is be honest about it, but they can't because there's a fucking agenda behind it, and that's, once again, rewriting our fucking history.
Well, we go back to what they say in school, that slavery was indentured servitude.
Yeah, now they're saying that it's indentured servitude, which is insane. Sharecropping was somewhat a form of indentured servitude. You could say that. But that came very late, and it wasn't exactly that.
Right.
Them niggas are still slaves.
Right, absolutely.
Financially, politically.
Yeah.
You know, indentured servitudes actually have regular rights. They're just niggas going to work and getting off and being paid handsomely and treated well. They have an actual contract that they can regularly negotiate, renegotiate.
Yeah, and it's usually based because of money. It's not based on
I'm better than you and all of this shit. No, I see that you're better at this than I am, and I don't feel like doing it. Let me pay you to come do this, and I'll let you live here, and so forth. You know,
which when people so let me help you guys understand when you hear about it in the Bible, that slavery was pretty much an indentured slavery. It was an indentured servitude. It wasn't the slavery. You know, people get it confused. Middle of the day, she up in there kicking it. It wasn't even sneaking. That's funny.
Truth,
just Black history. Yeah, you're right.
That's the fucking truth, man.
What's up, Farley? How y'all doing? Yeah, so biblically speaking, people get it twisted when they talk about it. It was not chattel slavery.
No.
It was not that at all. Now, maybe there were people who were slave masters that did work to use the Bible as a means of control. That wasn't the only form of control that they had. They had slave catchers and they had patrols. They had police.
I was about to say the original police, the original deputies, sheriffs, the KKK
is the police. Yeah,
you know,
and so just like in those days, they still have it today. You know what I mean? Like, you know, if you're in a neighborhood as a black person where you ain't supposed to be there, somebody call the cops, you're going in cuffs.
And it ain't going to take them 30 minutes to an hour to get there.
At all. And you're going in cuffs nowadays. So, you know, it's one of those things of being in the wrong place at the wrong time. And, you know, the problem is that a lot of black people today, they feel like they have those rights. And so when you watch something like this because
they've been tricked into believing that racism is no longer a reality or a circumstance that we face. So they do think that they have the same rights.
Yeah, and a lot of people are losing their family members, losing their children because of that. Because of that thought process when you watch this trash, man. Because this is trash. It was just like, come on, man, are you serious? I was 7 episodes in deep, and I'm like, yo, I never felt like she was in jeopardy at one time.
Not at one fucking
None of
point.
them actually. Even
the white dude.
Yeah, and you had slaves who were what do you call it when they're free men?
Yep.
They had certain people who were free, but they never really said anything about it.
And so here's something I'd also never seen is them. He had Luke which was the boy, the nigga that he grew up with, the master on that plantation grew up with a young brother, and he gave Luke a gun. Luke had a shotgun, walking around on the plantation, patrolling the niggas. No, they would have never. They might have put him in charge of patrolling them.
Right, of course.
Would have never gave him a fucking shotgun.
Yeah.
No firearm at all. Might have got a whip either.
Yeah.
Maybe even a whip. They did not give niggas firearms to patrol and watch the other goddamn slaves.
Well,
and then remember he was talking crazy to the what I don't even remember the fucking master's name, but he was talking crazy to him because they grew up together.
Yeah, it's really bad, man. It's really bad. Which, like I said, the revisionist. The point that I'm making is that they went with a very feministic viewpoint with making this series.
She had too much power. Too much power.
Way too much power. And
She was like the bug. What is the Bugs Bunny trope?
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, Bugs gets away with everything.
Every fucking thing. She could bend reality. And that entire series was definitely a bending of reality, man. It was poisonous.
Yeah, but look, the fact that okay, because they give this thing, okay, well, she's from New York, right? Her boyfriend
that was his lie.
He wasn't even her boyfriend. He was just a jump off.
He was literally so that was okay. Go ahead and watch the show if you want to. I don't consider anything being told about this show being a spoiler. Read the book if you really want to know.
Yeah.
But as far as the show, first 20 fucking minutes, I'm laying there, and this is what made me text you like, yo, you gotta watch this shit, dog. So, first 20 minutes in the show, she's disrespecting her elders.
Yeah.
That's the very first thing that happens in the show. Talking crazy to her elders.
Explain that a little, because I know you gotta.
So it's about to dip into it because I'm doing them together.
Okay.
She sold the family fucking homestead that her elders' mother owned, her grandparents. She sold the fucking homestead after the grandmother passed. She's like, nigga, it's my money. You know what I'm saying? It was my house to, talk, and they didn't say anything intelligible to her about it.
She left the house
other
to
than
me.
Well, that was my mother.
Yeah.
Well, more importantly, nigga, that was the family homestead. And if you don't know what a homestead is, it's really time for you to start doing some fucking homework. Black people, on average now, I know for a fact, don't have homesteads.
That's right.
The homestead is the main fucking house for the family that any of us can go back to when in need. You never sell the home. You never sell the homestead. We don't have family homesteads. So if that was something that you'd never heard about or didn't know about, I'm sure you've heard somewhat concepts of your elders maybe talking about it. Create a homestead that your grandchildren's grandchildren can come back to. Create an irrevocable trust. None of us can sell this fucking house. None of us can sell the land that the house is sitting on, even if the fucking wind blows this house down. Anyway, she sells the family homestead, talking to these niggas crazy. Then, and this is still within the first 20 minutes of the show, the white nigga, what is it, Kevin or whatever the fuck his name is, he gives her a ride home or whatever. Was he Uber? He was an Uber nigga?
No, he was just somebody that offered her a ride. Maybe she couldn't get her phone powered up.
Yeah, some shit. Okay, yeah, that is what it was. So he helps her with a charger, you know what I'm saying? Electrifying her life, white dude. And fucking shows up, gives her the charger, whatever, they on the ride home. She kind of playing him a little bit. And then somehow, I think when she was on Tinder or some shit,
and saw him.
Swiped him and then rolled her eyes because he had already swiped on her. So she's like, yeah, I knew it. And they start messaging and all of this shit. And then I think, because she fell out with her family from being disrespectful.
Yes. That was important.
She goes to the white man and gets a ride to go shopping and all of this shit. And this is still first 15, 20 minutes. At some point, because he helped her drive around and buy all the shit that she needed for this house she just moved in, well, I might as well get this white boy some ass. I might as well fuck him since he drove me around today. You know what I'm saying? No vetting. They hadn't even known each other 24 hours. All that high power shit she was just talking to her family about being a smart, progressive you know, independent young woman and all of that bullshit. She don't have a license or none of that shit. She admits in the show. Didn't even have a license, but she bought a house. Or excuse me, she sold her house and bought the new one where her family was at.
You know what? I never even. Yeah. And you gotta have.
Bro, just listen. All right. You know what I'm saying? So that's the first 20 minutes of the fucking show. Fuck my family. Fuck the homestead.
Fuck the white boy.
Fuck my dignity. Fuck the white boy. At least I got these. He helped me get these new couches. He helped her put her bed together. And she's like, well, white sheets, white boy. You know what I'm saying? Let's do it. And that was the first 20 minutes of the show. Mm-hmm. I was like, well, I got to tell this nigga. I texted him. I was like, yo, you got to watch this shit. And we both finished the same day. So
let me ask you a question. Had they kept it as it was in the book, you know?
I never read the book, but right. I read up on it.
Yeah, and just this, you know, start off, she's married to this white guy, and, you know, we have these questions. And because I do believe that the topic of interracial relationships is still a big thing nowadays. Yeah. And I think it should be addressed, and I think it would have been great for the show. But what do you think? What do you think made them change it?
The white savior trope, showing. You know, they have the whole no slut shaming bullshit. So that was a part of it. There's so many different agendas. I believe that.
And the Karen couple doesn't exist in the book either.
So that was supposed to be a play on. In the past, she's dealing with racism. In the present time, she's dealing with racism. While she's time traveling back and forth and all of that bullshit.
That Karen couple does not exist in the book at all.
Well, there really was no need for it.
Yeah, none at all.
The focus was on the past and dealing with her mom and all of that shit. And the white boy, at some point, he stuck there 5 years. He gets the realization, like, damn, this is what the fuck was going on. You know what I'm saying? That's a better story. Is it a good story? No, I don't think so. Right, but is it a better story to tell?
Yeah, of course.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure, it's a better story to tell. And I personally don't, you know, I don't care for interracial procreation and dating and marriage between black people and white people. But that's me. I ain't saying that nobody can't do that. I'm just saying that's not what I would do.
Right.
If that's what you're doing, please enjoy your life. Just don't make life harder on black people. That's all I'm asking.
So yeah, Farley said no different from today. Laughing out loud. Yep. Facts. Yeah.
Straight up.
This show is the epitome. I think there have been other shows that have showed.
Can we turn the heater down?
Yeah.
I'm hot up in this motherfucker. I'm sweating now.
There have been other shows that have showed, bias and revisionist history.
Yeah.
I saw it happen. There's a film that I saw it happen with. And a lot of people co-sign this stuff because I think with the black community, a lot of times we feel like if white people are doing it, we should do it too.
We should do it too and should be able to do it too.
And that's their thought process.
It's the giving an inch, take a mile mindset.
Right.
So we're thinking, okay, they're doing it.
Yeah.
Let's see if we can push the envelope too. Yeah. Rather than just doing what the fuck it is that we already do.
Yeah, doing you and being happy about you. Because look, like when you look at something like BET, right? BET was created. It was the first black network.
Yep.
And it got bought out by white people. It's owned. Everything black is owned by white.
Yep.
Everything. And it's like when you're looking at it, you're saying to yourself, I think black people are more preoccupied with wanting to be what white people are rather than being who we are. And understanding that there's a power with that. It's kind of like women. Women want the position of men, but don't want to do the things that men have to do.
They don't know that walking around in these big ass shoes is a fucking job. It's a fucking job. There's a burden that comes with it. Just like there's a burden that comes with being a woman.
And there's no alleviation.
No.
Right. Yeah. And listen,
we go to your strengths, our strengths. Master your strengths. It's gonna make your life easier. Figuring out how to get our strength is not gonna make your life easier. Me figuring out how to get a woman's strength won't make my life easier.
It's problematic.
It makes no fucking sense. Use what you have. Use what God gave you or what your mom gave you. You know what I'm saying? Use what the universe gave you to be the best version of you. You got to use those strengths. It's going to make your life more simpler.
Yeah, there was this film. It was a horror action film.
Okay.
God, I can't remember the name of this film.
Oh boy.
Yeah, I know it, but it's important
and
because it's important. Hey, leave Bing alone. We're gonna go back to it. You can take it to Google. This movie, J.J. Abrams had produced it.
Okay.
But it was a horror film, and when I had saw it, when I saw the trailer itself, Overlord, that's what it's called, Overlord. When I saw the trailer itself, it's a World War II movie, right? And basically it's like a zombie movie. And it was basically teams of soldiers with black and white soldiers in the same battalion.
This looked like some shit Will Smith would play in.
You see what I'm saying? And so we can't show it because of copyright strike.
Yeah,
but you know, the lead in the film was a black guy, and he was in a white battalion. It was a couple of it was mixed, and that was the first thing that showed me that we are in a serious space of revisionism, because if you know anything about your history, especially when it comes to soldiers and what they endured in World War II and World War I, black soldiers, you know, you didn't have black and white soldiers together ever.
Yeah.
Ever. It just did not exist. You had maybe a white commander, but you didn't have soldiers of equal footing in the same battalion or same platoon or same...
They couldn't sleep in the same barracks. None of that shit. They didn't even travel together.
So this movie Overlord was a slap upside the head. I mean, I always knew that there was always these agendas and things going on, but this was a slap upside the head, because I was just like, yo, wait a minute. Like, I never mind a black man being lead, and I would love to see that. But when they revise history now, you see them. Part of also what's going on is that certain films cannot get nominated unless it has a certain amount of cultural mixture in it in order to be nominated. And so when you see that, look at that. I mean, it's just like, and it just, there was no explanation on why they were black and white soldiers together. It was just here it is.
It was fanatic.
Yeah, just take it. This is what's going on. And it upset me because that diminishes and takes away what we went through.
From the history that's already written.
Mm-hmm. What we went through. And so young people seeing this, what it does...
And they haven't even heard of or actually had to seriously study the curriculum associated with our past here in America. Just so you, at the very least, to be on guard.
Yeah.
To have some discernment. To have some pride, about who we are and what we are. They don't even know. They don't know to do that.
Yeah.
They don't know that should even exist within them. And
so why is that an issue though? Because I mean, let's look at it that way, right? For somebody who would be asking that question, well, why is it an issue? Why is it that we still have to revisit that stuff? What is that? What is that all about? What do you think?
Why do we have to revisit 9/11? Why does the Holocaust matter? Mm-hmm. All of these different atrocities matter, but black people need to stop saying the N-word. Mm-hmm. Black people need to let go of slavery. Black people need to let go of the Jim Crow era. Mm-hmm. We got our civil rights. We need to quit complaining. Mm-hmm. We can work now. We need to let that go. We getting paid at about the same rate. We need to let that go. We own houses now. We're civilized now. The 5 civilized tribes is what that Native American thing is. We'll talk about that another show.
Have a whole show on it.
All of those things, and please understand, all of that shit was with air quotes. Mm-hmm. Okay,
right.
We have to pay attention and cry about and care about and mourn and they're raising and putting the flag at half mast or whatever. I never learned that shit in the military because I didn't care, but it means something. Whatever is supposed to be sad at what level that the flag is angled or whatever the fuck. All of that shit matters for all of those other things. How come none of that is happening for black people? Mm-hmm. For none of our fucking history here. Mm-hmm. For nothing that was ever done to us here. Mm-hmm. Nothing. Entire holidays. Entire fucking holidays. For 9/11. Or maybe not holiday, but you get what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. Ceremonies, yeah.
They're taking time out. Mm-hmm.
To recognize those things.
To recognize this shit. Just to acknowledge it. Our shit's not even being acknowledged. And you have to excuse me if I get passionate about this shit, but I fucking mean it. It means something.
Mm-hmm. Well, it has to. Because, listen, one of the things that I've always said is when I go out of the country, and the times that I've been out of the country, I couldn't get back to America fast enough. And what going out of the country did for me showed me the contribution that black people have for this country.
Have made to the world.
To the world, absolutely. But specifically to America, because my ancestors are from here. And listen, you go on Instagram, you'll see everybody have a flag up in their thing. Mm-hmm. Everybody. Jamaicans, Puerto Ricans, everybody, they Mexicans. Everybody got their flag. You know what I'm saying? Black Americans, because we don't have a flag, and we're even told that we
the African American flag, but that's bullshit.
Bro, listen, our flag is the American flag. The problem is that we were told that it's not.
The problem is that it's actually not.
Of course not. We know that. But well, I'm just saying.
Well, when I say that, it's hard for us to come together and say, you know what, this is our fucking place, and call it the United States. The United States of America is ours.
That's my point.
Cahokia is ours.
We're on the same page.
Mississippi is ours.
Yes. We're on the same. Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
That's the fucking problem.
Yeah. And so with that being said, that it's I never forget the phrase that one of the brothers has said that black people were released in a capitalistic society with no capitalism. With no capital.
Yep.
We're like a wandering nomad tribe, which is why you see a lot of the Israelites say that we are the lost tribe. For me, it's a thing of, and it's not even about patriotism as much as it's about just feeling at home, man.
It's hard, but it's hard to feel at home when there's nothing but chaos associated with being here.
Yeah.
That's what I'm getting at, and when you're experiencing that. Mm-hmm. But you got so much, what the fuck do they call it? So many different forms of Novocaine, so to speak, flowing through your life. It's hard for you to calculate or understand or pinpoint, why is it that I'm at home and I fucking feel this way? Because you don't know your history. Mm-hmm. You don't know why your life is like that.
Yeah, and I think that's what made...
You don't know why this feels abnormal.
But I think you're right, and I think that's what made a little bit of a difference for me, because I'm more of an isolationist as a person anyway. I mean, I have my relationships with people and with friends, and I deal how I deal.
Arm's length.
What happened?
You say keeping them at arm's length.
Yeah. And so I think that's how I'm able to get along and still have a sense of pride of who we are as a people here in this country. Michael said, don't you want us to all get along?
Nah, nigga,
don't you want to spread love is the Brooklyn way with Moet and Alizé?
Funny as fuck. That's hella funny.
He said, but listening to you, I get it, recognize everything else, but letting us have our trauma and respect our trauma. Yeah, that's funny. I mean...
That nigga said
I know, right? I know. Guys, thanks for chiming in. We really appreciate a lot of your comments and everything. This is not a down show. This is a show where in the last 30 minutes...
Just another call to attention, man.
Yeah, we're calling to attention, but we also want to give, I guess at this point, give people, our thoughts on what they can do to make things better in their own personal life. Because I think, are we as a culture... in a space to where we're going to get up tomorrow and make a difference? I don't think so.
No, definitely not.
I don't think so.
Our tomorrow is a very, very long distance away.
Mm-hmm. But what we can talk about tonight, can it help each individual listening in some capacity to where they can make a difference in their life?
To help empower themselves and those around them?
Yeah, I think so. So how do we deal with it? What do we do about it?
Let's do a run back to the top of the show where I was talking about the Cahokian country right here. Mississippian culture here. There are so many, and I have a whole curriculum that I wrote up. I have to share it on the show one of these days, but hundreds of thousands of different tribes, different, not just cities, but small
communities,
provinces or states, whatever you want to call them, that existed here in North America before the rest of the world decided that they could just come here and do what the fuck they wanted to do.
So clarify it for everyone, because when people say Native Americans, you know,
we're talking about the Aborigines, but they were
right. So I'm just saying, state that, because a lot of people don't know. So state that clarity.
So I'm talking about, you know, before 1492, nigga, what was here was fucking beautiful, and a lot of it is still here. You can go to Illinois and see the Cahokia Mounds. Mississippian mounds are there as well. There's so many different artifacts that are right here in America that we don't even talk about. That we don't even. I know about this shit because I drive around. And I've driven all over the fucking place. I've been to every state and seen a little bit of everything, man. And it's important that you sit down and take the time. Go look up, because I got curious one day. And I said, what was the history before 1492? Because nobody ever talks about that. What was history in North America before 1492? I'd already been through all of African history and Asian history and all of these different things, but I never thought, well, what the fuck was here? Who were the pilgrims? This nigga just rolled up, Columbus, this nigga just rolled up, and everybody was here. Whoever was here, but who were they? What were they? So then I said, okay, I'm from California. What about California? And go and look, just from California alone, over 250,000 different native languages were destroyed. Absolutely destroyed, eradicated, eviscerated by invaders and, you know, I guess you could say the Spaniards coming from Mexico, because they have their rich history as well.
The Dutch and the Spaniards,
yeah,
I mean,
it was a whole thing.
They were known for that.
Yeah, it was a whole thing.
A lot of people watching don't even realize that Africa, the name Africa is named after a Roman soldier, Africanus, and they just gave that whole region his name.
You'll never hear anyone who actually is African and black and has ancestry there, ancient ancestry there. They don't even call it Africa. They were all in their own worlds, building up their own fucking communities and technology. Yeah, there was trade and all of those different things, but there also wasn't this thing of greed and, you know, this is our area, y'all niggas don't come here and all of that. There wasn't really that kind of shit until the French showed up. Well, really, let's start with the Greek. The Greeks showed up. Then we get into French and the Spaniards and Romans and all of these bitch ass niggas showing up, you know, fucking with our continent. And anyway, those are the questions that I asked. And it's okay to start with Google, because I'm gonna always say it. The number one thing that we neglect today is that in our hands, we got shit that motherfuckers was sitting on dial-up. You know what I'm saying? Waiting hours to download 1 fucking megabyte. It's in your hands. It's on your wrist. Don't fucking take it for granted. It's the age of information for a reason. Take your time and use Google effectively.
Yeah, if you know where you come from, you'll know where you're going. I've always believed in that. Farley said, how about how racism and slavery made an impact on the black family in regards to how black parents raised their children?
Correct.
Would love to have that discussion. A lot to unpack there. Yeah, very true.
We got to talk about that.
I mean, we get some of the most elaborate whoopings that was passed through the generations because of ancestors dealing with slavery. But that's becoming a problem now too, whereas now you can't.
Because now they're just doing it. There are parents who are just doing it, but they don't have an actual reason. There's no story behind it with them. Because that does come from a place with slavery. It comes from a fucking place. It was, let me show you what they have the potential to do before I even send you out there in the world, because you need to fucking understand this. This is why you learn to lead from the back and stand by while they think that they're, you know, top hat and all of that bullshit. so you can snake your way through the way that they fucking snake their way through. So at least you have a fucking opportunity, you have a chance, you have the option to get back if you want to. If you think it's worth your time, or you continue on with your black life and continue nurturing your family. You know, that there's a whole fucking history with all of that shit, man. And it's deep, and, you know, unfortunately, man, this 2 hours, at first it seemed like such a long time, but really it's not, man.
Yeah, no, we barely scratched the surface.
I would love to sit here for 5 or 6 hours and just share with you guys my studies and the time that I dedicated into learning all of these things over these years, you know, over the years, and there's nowhere near enough time. I could sit here and just shout out, study this, go look at this, go look at that.
Yeah, but
that's
you know,
not. How effective is that going to be?
You know, there's an old phrase of Philip in the Ethiopian. He said, you know, how can I learn unless you show me?
Yeah.
You know, which is kind of
what you do with we got to take our time.
Yeah, which is kind of what you do with the kids every week. You know, let's see, Farley says, nothing to do with discipline most of the time. Families are raising their children off of bitterness and pain rather than discipline and guidance. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean,
that's what it transformed into.
Hurt people.
But that's because they don't know their history. If they knew their history,
then they wouldn't be about that. They'd be about.
It would be completely different, and it would be coming from a different place. There'd be some fucking purpose, some intent behind it, other than I'm angry, nigga, because I'm broke, and I don't even know how to acknowledge that the system is doing this to me, so I'm gonna come home and fucking do it to you. I don't even know that I should acknowledge that.
Yeah. Michael Irvin said, my mom said she whooped me at age 2.
We will.
And with an extension cord, which I know now is where my controlled anger in situations comes from. I listen, you know, we remember that video we were talking about where the mother, single mom, was disciplining her son, talking about the weight. Remember, she's making all the weight.
Yeah.
That I attribute that to feminism. When a woman feels like she can
step in and do a man's job
in regards to disciplining a young boy as well. I mean, there's some dads out there that are ill-equipped to handle discipline with their own children, but that's because they were raised
because of this entire fucking thing.
Yeah, so off of that, Michael, yeah, we were just talking about, we may talk about that on Thursday.
Sure.
Alongside, because that was very odd to me. She confused the hell out of him.
Because she was confused. She was fucking confused. What was she going to do to rear him? What could she effectively do?
Right.
Especially at the point that he's about 15, 16.
Oh, yeah, it's a wrap. Once he falls into that teen body, he gets a little more...
What is she going to do? She ain't going to have the muscle to move him around and do what the fuck she wants to do to him and scare him and all of that kind of bullshit. You know, I tell our friend, our mutual friend, the young man, I tell him all the time, man, stop with that texting shit. Start using your voice. Call these people. Send them voice messages. Your voice has something in it that's powerful. It means something to women and it means something to children.
And never say it out of emotion. Always give yourself time to rationalize everything.
You have to have discernment. You know, there has to be some intent, some purpose behind everything it is that you're saying and everything it is that you're doing. Whether or not you're successful with it is, you know, life comes through trial and error. Wisdom comes through trial and error. But you have to start somewhere, and you got to mean it. I've said this on the show plenty of times. Whatever it is that you're doing, you got to mean it. It can't just be
trivial.
I could go on for hours. I ain't going to do it. I'm not going to get up on the soapbox, but you guys got to take life a little more serious. And I don't mean not to have fun. I don't mean not to enjoy things. I mean how it is that you're getting on and getting along or going along in your life. However it is that you define success, however it is that, or whatever it is that you've decided that comfort and peace is for you. the way that you maintain that needs to be taken seriously. Mm-hmm. The way that you protect that needs to be taken seriously. And if you're not showing the world that you're a serious person, you will not get serious results. Mm-hmm. Not from your peers, not from the people that you don't know, not from this fucked up system. Yeah. Serious opportunities will never arise.
Yeah, and then you're not able to make moves correctly. So it's like, what can we do about revisionist history? You know, well, because there's lots that's at fight here. Mm-hmm. You know, the main thing is, first off, I always say there's power in your dollar. And a lot of times, like, I don't follow Netflix anymore.
Me neither.
I canceled Netflix. Not because of just financial, but because I didn't like a lot of the content they were putting out.
There's a bunch of bullshit on there. What you consume is everything.
Mm-hmm. And so with shows like this, we need to call out. We need to call them out. You know, your friends and them. You know, a lot of times when people say, "Oh, I'm watching this and I'm watching that," my kid, I got them watching it. A lot of people make their kids watch this stuff, man. You know, because they realize it's got a lot of historical content to it.
And they just say history because they see something old, not because of something that they actually know about and can fact check or have fact checked. You know, it's just, it looks old. They said that this is what happened. All right, cool.
Yeah. And we have to be strong enough to step up and say, yo, I'm not supporting that because, you know, or a lot of times I challenge people. I tell them, okay, you got your kids watching that? Well, I challenge you to sit down and watch. You know what I mean? Watch something that's more historically sound, or go and read some books and take them to the library for an hour or two and make them read something that has a little bit more truth to it than what you're watching these movies and these TV series with, because it's trash. It's trash. They have to understand. And a lot of these books are not going to, you know, it was funny. When Emancipation came out, one of the producers was walking around with the picture of Peter, the slave that got whooped. And they made a news blurb about that. They were like, he was walking around with that, and a lot of people were upset and stuff like that. And it was like, no, you guys should have questioned him with, why does he feel like he has the right to walk around with that? Would he want someone walking around with a picture of him like that? In that exposed type of way? That's where, you know, you getting mad does nothing. You have to ask people the right questions, and you have to hold them accountable for that type of activity. You know, why are you walking around with that? You know, what is it about that makes you feel, you feel like you're exposing this to people? You're helping us to see this? Like, what does that do? Are you giving a dissertation after you show the photo? Like, you know, this is what slavery really was, and are you being scientific about it, or you getting your cookies off just by showing people a picture of a whipped slave? You know, I thought that was very big, that was something that should have been addressed in a specific way. But no, of course, the news took it and made it sensational, you know? This is what he's doing. Oh, emotion. Get mad at him. You know, and that was their purpose for doing that blurb. It wasn't to educate anyone.
I added that on there for you.
Yeah.
So,
all right.
Really quick, if you guys have YouTube, I know you're on Instagram. There's a YouTube page, and I don't know how to pronounce or enunciate the brother's name, but I will spell it out. It's K-U-R.
Courier Mail.
Well, there you go. You know what I'm saying? Well,
yeah.
Let it out.
I love those names. Yeah. Courier Mail.
Just like that. Courier Mail. How? I don't know what tribe or what ethnic background the gentleman is from, but I can tell you that he puts in time on Northern American history concerning Black people and the Native Americans, and this dude has the Aboriginals, so much content on his page. And if you're on YouTube, you see me scrolling down this page right now. I had to endorse him. I mean, he's got great footage. He does his work. He goes to the Library of Congress and goes to the Mormons have their own fucking library of all of our goddamn history that you got to pay for, unfortunately. You know, but he's putting forth the effort to educate us on what it is that happened here. Okay, so again, Kurim You type that in on YouTube or on Instagram, it'll pop up. Go and get you some free history. And it's about you. It looks like you. You know, it's important. It means something. So, in any event, we got 5 minutes left.
No, we got 10.
10.
We'll 5 because we're going to get our 5-minute call. Yeah. So, I know it's a lot. And it was a kind of a lot that we wanted to talk about tonight, but there's no way to
fit everything in the 2 hours.
No.
There's a lot of information, plenty for our viewers to digest, man. And feel free to reach out. You know, y'all. You know, right now y'all got us on Instagram. You know, if you got any questions, whatever, reach out, and especially concerning us, our history. I'm more than willing, when I have it, to take the time to answer and point you in some direction, lead you to guide you towards something that will help better educate you.
Yeah, the key is to ask questions. I mean, when it's very hard for me to watch content and to be entertained nowadays because I see right off the bat the agendas and I see the programming and I see what, film and music and stuff like that. Those forms of content are made to entertain, but also to make you feel specific things. And I've learned to, because people say, well, don't watch it. I've learned to discern and to block those things that would shift my mind a certain way. And I think that's part of the practice. So we're not saying don't watch stuff. We're just saying, if it's trash, call it what it is. Yeah. And watch it. If you watch it with discernment. But if it's trash,
and if there's anything on there that looks like you need to ask questions, again, you got this in your hand, goddammit. Mm-hmm. Google it.
Yeah.
Google it. Start there. That's not the end all be all answer to everything, but it's a fucking start, man. Use the tools that you have at your disposal.
Because they're using you guys as the means of getting a lot of this content made. If
getting it promoted.
If something was a book, all it takes is a couple of sisters on Instagram or Facebook to talk about they done seen something and it was good. And next thing you know, everybody and their mama watching it, Mm-hmm. Doesn't mean that it was good. What's appealing on the outside is not always good to you on the inside. And on the inside, when it comes to us as a culture, we need a lot of help right now, and we need help from each other. We don't need outside help telling us what we should be doing or how we should be going about it. Remember, we had that one chick, she had did a what we call it, TikTok, talking about allies, talking about she made black people look so bad, especially black women, because she was saying buy a ticket to Wakanda forever, but don't use it. Give it to a family and stand outside and stop anything and anyone from coming in to disrupt that viewing of Wakanda. It was like, and it's like stuff like that. Y'all got to call these knuckleheads out. She's a knucklehead. You got to call her out. And so, no, that's not what I want. I don't want any of that. Just leave us alone. How about that?
Leave us the fuck alone. Let us figure out what it is that we're going through. What's up, Chris? My nigga Chris in the house.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, man, we got to do better. And it starts in-house. And that don't mean go and try to rescue your immediate community. Start in-house.
Mm-hmm.
Start with the kids that you have at your immediate, within your immediate reach. You have to go somewhere. And what do they call it? You don't want to throw rocks at the sun because nigga, you can't reach it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, taking on saving the whole community is not gonna happen overnight, and more than likely not gonna happen in your lifetime. Over 500 years of damage, mathematically speaking and realistically speaking, should take about 500 years to reverse.
Mm-hmm.
Okay?
Mm-hmm.
So you got to start small. Nieces, nephews, little brothers and sisters, and so forth.
Mm-hmm.
Then move on. If you have the ability, the capacity, the option to do so. All right?
There's a movie called Mandingo. I don't know, and it's not porn. So get that out your mind, because the name Mandingo is an old name. It was there before porn even existed. But it was made in 1976, if I'm correct, same year that Roots was made. It came out in the fall. Stars Ken Norton, Perry, Steve Perry, I think.
It's a powerful place.
Yeah.
I love it there.
But it's a good film to watch to help you understand the lunacy and the ignorance of white people during slavery. And that film, Perry Mason, it starred Perry Mason. That film is an old classic. There's Sergio, who was a film critic and film instructor in college. Sergio Mims, who's no longer with us, he passed away. He was the first person I lost this year that I was just like, come on, man. But anyway, he and I, we would talk about that movie all the time. And in a lot of filmmaker forums, we'd be saying, you haven't seen slavery until you've seen Mandingo. And people laugh, but those who've seen the film, if you've ever seen it, and Michael Irvin has seen it. Yes, sir. Yes, you get to see every aspect and the true essence of what slavery did to black men when it came to sexuality, like what they had to go through. And, so when you watch that film, it gives you a total different perspective. But, yeah, anyway, we've run out of time. Watch that film if you can. Good for you. Shout out to everybody who's out there. Be safe, guys. Traveling to and fro. These fools out here.
And don't let your family emotionally tax you. If you ain't got it, goddamn it, stay home.
There you go.
Plain and simple.
There you go. Hang out with people of your kind, of your like, who, if they don't celebrate, that's cool. You sit together and converse and have a good time. We're going to be talking about pop culture on Thursday. It's going to be pretty much a good one. There's a couple of things that's happening out in the news. It's crazy.
Correct.
But next Tuesday, we will be talking about, you want to give them an advance of what the episode is?
On Tuesday? Loneliness.
Loneliness.
Are you lonely?
And
is that okay?
Mm-hmm.
So.
Right.
Any event, y'all niggas have a good night. Press and play. Thank everybody for tuning in.
Good night, everybody. See you Thursday. Hopefully you can make it in. As it should.
Man, muscles on his lonely back. I stay calm and fact. I've been on the grind so long, hoes can never call me that. Please keep it short. I don't speak for all the rap. I'm your mechanic. I don't want no parts of whack. Keep throwing
signing out. You joined too late.
I'll melt you. Every beat
Rewatch
got a birthday. I just make it special. If you came to wrestle, well, maybe we can do that. Chapman bring the dosage and show you where your shoes at. Exactly where the proof at. I ain't gotta prove stats. I don't need the hookup. I've been staying blue-black, straight from where the news at. Life-size showdown, story I survived. Made them lie remote down, painting what I wrote now. I imagined it, I'ma broke the canvas. Every stroke is passionate, ask him why he smashing shit. I'm just practicing so I can get it in when it's out. Ain't no accidents, for real. Absolutely. Please stop the BS, for real is on purpose, for real. Everything I do this for real.